Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum friends. Today we are going to discuss software requirements. The outline of the topic include engineering process, discovery, specification, validation, checking, management, evolution, requirement engineering processes. The goal of the REP is to create and maintain a system requirements document. The processes used for RE vary widely depending on the application domain, the people involved, and the organization developing the requirements. However, there are a number of generic activities common to all processes: requirement elicitation, requirement analysis, requirement validation, requirements management. RE process inputs and outputs. Stakeholders. Stakeholder analysis. Identify all the people who must be consulted during information acquisition. Look for stakeholders associated with each of four words. Example stakeholders: user concerned with the features and functionality of the new system. Designers want to build a perfect system or reuse existing code. System requirements analyst want to get the requirements right. Training and user support staff want to make sure the new system is usable and manageable. Business analyst want to make sure we are doing better than the competition. Technical authors will prepare user manuals and other documentation for the new system. The project manager wants to complete the project on time, within budget, with all objectives met. The customer, external regulators want to check that the system meets its legal requirements. The requirements engineering process. Requirements discovery. The process of gathering information about the proposed and existing systems and distilling the user and system requirements from this information. Sources of information include documentation, system stakeholders, and the specifications of similar systems. Techniques required to help the discovery: interviews, observation, scenarios, and prototypes. Why do elicitation? Not doing elicitation means I do not want to know or care what my customer wants, resulting into a system which will not solve real world problems of the customer. The system will not be used and thus fail. Return on investment. Requirements classification: functional or non-functional, derived from one or more high-level requirements. Requirement is on the product. Requirement priority, often classified on a fixed point scale such as mandatory, highly desirable, desirable, optional. Scope of the requirements. Some requirements, particularly non-functional ones, have a global scope in that their satisfaction cannot be allocated to a discrete component. Components of software requirements. Requirement satisfaction. The system requirements definition document. A statement in natural language of what user services the system is expected to provide. Sometimes known as the user requirements document or concept of operations, record the system requirements. Define the high-level system requirements from the domain perspective. Must list the system requirements along with background information about overall objectives for the system, its target environment, and a statement of its constraints, assumptions, and non-functional requirements. May include conceptual models designed to illustrate the system context, usage scenarios, the principal domain entities, and data, information, and workflows. Requirements specifications intermediate level. A structured document which sets out the system services in more detail. It should be written such as understandable by technical staff for both clients and developers. Software Requirement Specifications (SRS), also called Design Specification. an abstract description of the software which is basis for its design and implementation. There should be a clear and direct relationship between this document and the requirement specification, but the reader of this are SW designers. Such a specification is included mostly as part of system contract and is the basis for designing system acceptance tests. Input, process, output, preconditions, postconditions are the minimum required. Structured language specification. Natural language is required because of understandability. Many notations have been developed which rely on natural language is a controlled way using standard form and also use graphical highlighting. The form structure will vary depending on the requirement, structuring technique, functional, data, object, etc. Functional oriented specifications are most common. SRS ATM example of structured requirement specification functional approach. Requirements validation concerned with demonstrating that the requirements define the system that the customer really wants. Requirements error costs are high, so validation is very important. Fixing a requirement error after delivering may cost up to 100 times the cost of fixing an implementation error. Requirements checking. Validity. Does the system provide the functions which best support the customer's need? Consistency. Are there requirements conflicts? Are there any requirements conflicts? Completeness. Are all functions required by the customer included? Realism. Can the requirements be implemented given available budget and technology? Verifiability. Can the requirements be checked? Requirements validation techniques. Requirements reviews, systematic manual analysis of the requirements, prototyping, using an executable model of the system to check requirements, test case generation, developing test for requirement to check testability, requirements management. Requirements management is the process of managing changing requirements during the requirements engineering process and system development. Requirements are inevitability, incomplete and inconsistent. New requirements emerge during the process as business needs change and a better understanding of the system is developed. Different viewpoints have different requirements and these are often contradictory. Requirements change. The priority of requirements from different viewpoints changes during the development process. System customers may specify requirements from a business perspective that conflict with end user requirements. The business and technical environment of the system changes during its development. Requirements evaluation. Okay friends, this is it for now. Thank you for watching this lecture and please also share the summary of what you have learned from today's lecture in the comment box. Allah Hafiz.